Good afternoon, everyone. It's Make a Move Mike, the Veterans Realtor with Realty Executives Dylan. I'm here with Andy Cruz of Mortgage Heroes, and today we're going to be discussing the home appraisal. Now, if you're not familiar with what appraisal is, it's basically it occurs during a transaction. Probably it's ordered by a mortgage lender like Mortgage Heroes within the first few days of the transaction and opening escrow. And what it essentially does is they have an appraiser come out and give the home, inspect the home, and then give a valuation based off that home's characteristics, its size, its upgrades, every little detail you can think of to improve the value of that home. And then it's also in tandem with that compared to like size homes of similar size and aesthetics and in the same neighborhood within roughly, I would say, a mile. Maybe some cases they might go a little bit further than that, but that's only when required, and because of there's not too many comparable homes that have sold recently. So what I wanted to discuss was there are two different sides when it comes to preparing for the appraisal. So you have the seller side and then you have the buyer side. So I'll discuss the buyer side first. So everyone, the lender uses that appraisal to validate the purchase price of that home. So for example, if you're buying a home and your offer gets accepted at $700,000, let's say, and then the appraisal comes back at $680,000, the bank is only, or the lender is only going to approve financing for that $680,000. And then if you're on the flip side, if you're the seller's probably, depending on that seller and that seller's relationship with their agent, they may or may not come back and ask you to either pay the difference out of pocket, or they may, do a price reduction and the transaction will continue. So as a seller, if the home appraises for less than the agreed upon purchase price, the seller has the option of asking the buyer to come out of pocket to pay the difference. 2, they can reduce the price to that new appraised value. Or 3, they can meet in the middle or go back to the negotiating table and come to an agreement with the buyers, and the buyers may or may not have to come completely out of pocket for the difference in the original agreed upon purchase price and the appraisal. So Andy's going to talk about a little bit about appraisals preparing for the appraisal from the perspective of the mortgage lender.
So as a buyer, the appraisal is just one of the steps in the process. But it's one of those things where there can be some anticipation, maybe a bit of eagerness, some excitement, or maybe a little bit of trepidation. But really the appraisal is actually kind of like a safeguard. If you've offered $700,000 on a property, you want to make sure that that property is actually going to be valued at $700,000. In some cases where it comes in below $6 to $680, let's say, in the example Mike's giving, you could actually probably make the personal argument, hey, this place is still worth $700 to me, and I will make up the difference because this is the neighborhood I want. This is the layout that I want. It's got the backyard that me and my wife want for our kids. Or I see potential in this place for the long haul, and this is the last place I'm planning on buying. So there's a variety of reasons when you're going into that not only purchase, but when you're in that kind of appraisal phase. The important part about the appraisal phase when you're a buyer is patience. And this is the part that can sometimes get a little bit complicated, because even though the appraisal is ordered by us, we're not allowed to contact the appraiser themselves. The appraiser is actually managed by a third-party company, and they will give us the report when the report's done. So so a lot of times people call us, oh, how come my appraisal's not here? Hey, you know what? The best we can do is we can check in with them and ask them for an update and a status report, but we're not allowed to contact the appraiser directly because we're not allowed to persuade them any direction. So in order to block that from ever happening, we're not allowed to contact them at all. So patience is a key point here, because even though we're excited and there may be trepidation, like I mentioned, the number will come out. And there are times when the number is dead wrong. And most often, it's with an out-of-area appraiser that pulls from comps that they are looking at from their computer screen, not having an experienced footprint in that neighborhood. Mike mentioned the 1 mile radius. Typically they're going to look at the most recent sales going back, hopefully only 3 months in this market. If they have to go further back in time, they will. If they have to go outside that radius, they will. But they don't like jumping across freeways, major intersections, or complete different divisions of developments and builds. So there's just a couple of things to understand when you're going through that process that patience plays a part of, because of all of the variables that are going into generating that report. Once that report comes out, back on one of the reasons why you want to have a lender and a realtor who are partnered up and in sync is, well, we know what to do if it comes in at value, above value, below value, and everywhere in between. So having done this in the past together and knowing the local market actually gives buyers great advantage that we know how to go and then renegotiate if we have to, or just continue running the race if that's what it calls for. And
then again, I do want to mention that I like to prepare for the appraisal beforehand, either as a buyer or whether I'm working with the buyers or the seller. From the buyer's perspective, I want to make sure that I'm submitting an offer where I'm confident that it's going to appraise at value. So if I make an offer at $700K, I'm confident that the home will appraise at or near $700K. If I'm the seller, if I'm working with a seller, someone who's listing their home for sale, and I want to make sure that they're confident listing the home at a price that we feel comfortable that it's going to be appraised at that value, so we don't run into those issues later down the line and delay the transaction or potentially kill the deal. So just another added value of working with a local realtor and a local lender like Andy and myself. So while there are many other facets that go into preparing for an appraisal, it is a case-by-case basis. But if you have any questions right now, you can email Mike, you can email myself, leave a comment below. And of course, please feel free to share this with somebody who might need to have the same information and just doesn't know otherwise. We're happy to bring these Q&As to you all so that it can increase your knowledge, give more education to you, to share how you can win in real estate. Thank you for watching this week, and we'll see you again next time.